Afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting of August 7th, 2023. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording this meeting, please notify the chairman. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 signing of the Acts of 2023, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Chatham Board of Health is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling 1-508-945-4410 and the conference ID, which I don't have on here. Hold on. Sorry about that. Oh, I don't have the ID. Well, I'll have to find the ID and get back to you with that. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Channel 18, despite our best efforts, we will not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Noble Hanson, the chairman. Let me find that ID number.
Thank you. It shall be the policy of this board to conduct its meetings under the open meetings law so as to encourage public participation whenever time permits and as part of agenda item discussions. And then I have an announcement to read. Chatham Government Television will be moving on the Comcast channel lineup. The change is scheduled to occur on August 17th, 2023. Government television broadcasts will no longer be available on Channel 18. Beginning on August 17th, 2023, Chatham Government TV can be viewed on Comcast Channel 8 and Digital Channel 1070. Channel 18 is moving to Channel 8 starting August 17th, 2023.
And just to go over the number again for call-in, it's 945-4410, and the conference ID number is 297-846-396#.
Okay, first let's, well, we have 6 items on the agenda today. First, let's establish a quorum, and when I call your name, if you can please say here. Dick Edwards. Here. Ron Broman. Here. John Beckley.
Here.
Harold Boyce.
Here.
Noble Hanson, I'm here. So we have a quorum. The first item is a show cause hearing for Matthew Nutting, 130 Old Queen Anne Road, concerning a sewer connection order, which dates back a number of years. The property was transferred in 2021. I understand there's new information. Who is going to present that variance?
I'm not sure if
Anybody
Mr.
representing Mr. Nutting for 130 Old Queen Anne Road?
Okay. So I did speak with him. I guess he's not here. His engineers are Moran Engineering, and they've been working on this, and they were supposed to submit the plan this week to move forward with it. So if you want, I can continue this to the next meeting and get more detailed information and to make sure that they have submitted it and the dates that they're going to move forward with the construction, if they've hired a contractor, et cetera.
Yeah, I would think we would continue it so we
Yes.
formally have someone here to present the case, and we can make a judgment there. Any other question or comment on this one?
Excuse me, did they say why they couldn't be here today?
They didn't say. I sent an invite to the engineer, and I had spoke to Mr. Nutting a few weeks ago. So he indicated that he was going to be here, but
Yeah, because it's pretty clear in the letter that, you know, they were supposed to be here.
yeah, he did contact me after he received the letter, and his engineers immediately got in touch with me and apologized for the holdup. They said that they didn't realize they were under order to get it done so quickly.
Okay.
Not the owner himself, but the engineers, so.
What I'd like to get as part of the update is an anticipated date of connection.
Right.
I don't want to hear process. I want to hear, this is when we anticipate making the connection.
Okay.
Yeah, one's having an engineering plan, and the second thing is when it's actually going to be installed, an installer. Okay, other board comments on that? It'll be continued. Any public comment on 130 Old Queen Anne Road? Do we vote on a continuance for that?
I think you do need to vote.
All right, let's
yes.
say we can take a voice vote. All in favor of continuing the 130 Old Queen Anne Road show cause hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed say no. Okay, so that's, continuance is approved.
Okay.
All right, and then number 2 on our agenda is a show cause hearing for Pamela Bowden, 34 Woodpecker Road, and it has to do with an operation and maintenance agreement for innovative technology system, which is not, she has no contract at this time, and there's a bit of history here. Anything we need to know, Judy, about the?
I don't believe anybody's here to represent her. I did not hear from her before this hearing. I did send her an email because I've, in the past, have had contact with her, but I did not get a reply. She's kind of been, we've been through this with her a couple times over the past several years. She's really never complied with the requirements of having an IA system. No testing has been conducted, and she has.
Can we issue a notice of violation of some type if we wanted to?
We can, yes, and I mean, that, if we send her a notice of violation, failed septic, and then the next step would be another hearing and see if she shows up.
Would there be penalties?
The next step would be to take her to court for,
You can't do an administrative fine?
I'd have to check with town council to see how that would work.
Be nice to get a little leverage.
Yeah.
A little,
I
right?
agree.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, she's been in non-compliance for quite a while, many times it seems, so.
So if there is a way to admit, I'm not, just to get her attention, I guess is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. In a way that moves her to act.
I can send a letter of noncompliance, and then before I do that, I'll find out what the structure is for either fining or court.
Good.
Yeah, and then we'll take it from there. Usually we give, I could give her 30 days to get a contract to us. I mean, she's been sent many notices over the,
Yeah, I would say
Past few years.
J.M. O'Reilly, who was doing the maintenance, has sent a letter to her terminating their relationship with her because she was non-communicative. And then the Barnstable County has notified her in writing on June 21, 22, and 7/14/22, and now she
mean-
hasn't shown up at the meeting. So I'd say,
actually, I've already sent her a letter. I sent her a letter of noncompliance in September 2022.
what's the next sort
I
of
don't see
legal
what the
step
point
to
in sending her another one.
Right.
get prepared? So ultimately, it would be taken her
Penalty.
to court, is that?
She hasn't taken up her, she had the right to a hearing. She did not take that up. And then she was asked to appear today, and she has not complied.
If we
with that.
brought her to,
What's the next step after
What's the next legal
letters?
step in?
Usually it's a violation at the courthouse. So
Could we
she'll
do
be-
that? Because she hasn't responded? I mean, why not
I think
go
we
right to
should.
that?
Do we know why this IA system is in place?
I'd have to go back.
Did this get put in as a variance to allow expansion of the house?
I
So if
don't-
so, if the IA is not functioning properly, then this is a failed septic system, and at some point, the house needs to be declared that it can't be occupied.
Yeah.
You know, that this has been going on for years. She appears to have no intention of following through with this. And so, this is a failed septic system. And if it's a failed system, she shouldn't be occupying the house.
Well,
And to say you're gonna wait 2 months and file something in court and give her $100
Well, we
fine
can't condemn her
isn't
house.
really gonna
I mean,
do anything here.
I can't really condemn her house.
Well, if this is a failed septic system,
There's, there's a process that I have to go
yeah, we just
through.
have to take the next step in the process.
So the
but I-
next step would be, at this point, would it be a criminal,
Criminal
court
or civil?
action?
Criminal?
Okay.
I think it's criminal, actually.
And I would just say, J.M. O'Reilly is the engineer, and in a letter to Ms. Bowden, June 6, 2022, states that work that needs to be done, in parentheses, blower replacement for proper operation and maintenance. So the engineer has already declared the system's mechanically
so
inferior.
this is a failed
We just need to take the
system.
next,
This is putting excessive nitrogen into the ground, and it's just like somebody had a septic tank that was overflowing. We can't just ignore this. It's been, she was told over a year ago.
well, we're not ignoring it, but what's
Well,
the
we've
next step?
ignored it for the last year.
No, the letter was sent in September, so it's been,
Okay.
yeah, almost a year, yeah, right, it's August.
I think they need to know that we're serious about
Yeah, I mean, I
these
think
things, and
what will happen is it'll go to the court magistrate, and he'll
Okay.
have her in, and she'll be given,
A date?
you have to do this within a certain amount of time, or else you're gonna be brought back and, before the court, so.
This is the
But you
district?
declared the system failed?
I've already declared it failed.
You've already declared it failed, and so if a system's failed and it's not corrected, the usual procedure after all hearings and whatnot is what
Yeah,
you just said.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
People can continue to occupy a house with a failed septic system.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
that's the
it's-
question.
it's
Is
not
it
a- it's-
failed system.
it's a failed system because the IA system isn't operating.
Right,
It's not,
and the IA system was necessary for some reason.
yeah, I
So it's
apologize
moving
for
a
not
house
having the
for the
complete
size
file
of the
here.
septic system or whatever. So this is a failed system.
It may have been added because they wanted to add a bedroom back and when they put the system in,
Well,
so. I mean, it's not a public health nuisance, it's not breaking out onto the ground. It isn't, right, so, but it's still,
All of the effluent is heavier in nitrogen than it,
The quality of the effluent does not meet the standards of an IA system.
we don't even, yeah, right, we don't know that, but it's not even working right, so, and we have no testing, so.
so they have a failed system.
You have to sit forward and,
So they do have a failed system, yes.
yeah.
and so what's the term for the next legal step?
I will contact the police, and they will file I don't know the term, that's for a civil or a
Is it
criminal.
a summons
Yeah, it's
or a
They file it
complaint?
at the court, and then she will be summoned to clerk magistrate.
And that's the
here,
regional court in
Orleans.
Orleans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think we proceed with that step.
I
without
agree.
it.
I don't, at this point, looking back and seeing that they've already been sent an order of noncompliance, that the system is in failure, and then asked to appear today.
Can we do an administrative penalty as well, or is that not?
I think you
proper?
can't do that until you've been found guilty,
Okay.
yeah. I can look in and see if I can write tickets. I may be able to write tickets.
I mean, if you can get to the point where you can write an administrative fine and then say, for every day thereafter, I'm going to come back, or every 2 days, I'm going to write another one. I'm going to write another one next week. And there's some burden on the defendant to move, to be more complying.
Okay. Excuse
I
me.
don't know,
what-
but that-
what- Oh,
I mean, yeah.
what is the process for condemning a property?
Gotta work through
If
with
it's clearly that there's a problem, so what would
the
the
housing,
process
the
be?
housing department would have to come involved.
No, we could condemn a property,
Could you post
but
it? Could you post it?
I don't think we have due cause to condemn this property.
Okay,
It's,
that would be an overreaction.
yeah, I
Okay.
really think so. I mean, you usually only condemn a property if you have it's unlivable conditions.
Like no water?
No heat, no water, no
Okay.
electricity,
Right.
you know,
Judy?
So the next step would go through the police department. Do they actually physically serve something to the owner then, usually? Do they serve something to the owner?
no, we go right to the court, and the
Right to the
court notifies them of a
I mean, it's possible
summons.
this woman isn't in the home, she's in a nursing home or whatever. We don't really know anything about.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've had email contact with her in the past.
Have you contacted our attorney about this?
No, but I will tomorrow.
Okay, do that,
Yeah.
And then and then proceed to the next legal step. Can I get a motion to start that process?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second
To
it.
proceed with the next legal step and contact the attorney.
I mean, she did receive this certified letter, apparently. You got to
Did,
return
yes.
receipt, so she received the letter,
Yep.
and it's been ignored. She's not here.
She
Okay,
received it on the 5th of July and signed for it herself.
Okay.
And then before we take a vote, any public input on this 130, or on 34 Woodpecker Valley? All right, we can probably take,
Did we have a second?
We did.
Ron, we can take a voice vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will take the next legal step on this 34 Woodpecker Valley. Okay.
Oh, I do have her file here.
The next item on our agenda is a variance hearing for approval of IA technology for David Drollinger, 171 Morris Island Road, east-southeast, Chad Eldridge, and he has asked for a continuance, but maybe you want to just say a word, Thad?
Hi, Thad Eldridge, East Southeast. Yes, we're asking for a continuance. After review with Judy, there are some changes that need to be made to the plan. So we'd like to make those and.
And it's continued to our next meeting, so it'll just be 2 weeks. I don't see any problem with that. Anyone have a comment or a
No.
question? Any public? Okay, maybe we can get we should probably vote on that, a motion to continue 171 Morris Island Road.
Until August 21st. I'll so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, and then I think we can take a voice vote on this. All, public input, I think
I don't think we need.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, that variance is continued to our next meeting, August 21.
Stay there.
Okay, the next is a variance for approval of IA Technology for Ryan and Amanda O'Sullivan, 124 Roland Drive, and that also is Southeast LLC. And Chad, you want to present the variance?
Thad Eldridge, East Southeast. Here we have one that actually meets the, Chad. I'll answer to Scott as well, that's fine. We have one that meets the new regulation, so we have a site that would be 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet, plus one. An IA system is being proposed. We've provided nitrogen loading calculations showing that things are better with the denitrifying septic system. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, oh, you are, yeah. Yeah, so, 47,000 square foot, so by right, 4 bedrooms, and they're asking for a fifth with IA Technology, so that's pretty straightforward. And the only variance is for the extra bedroom. We have a copy of the plans. Any questions or comments from the board?
What about the storage room in the basement? Couldn't that be a bedroom?
Not without any windows.
There's no windows in the basement.
There'll be little windows, but they won't be large enough.
It's probably not
It's a
finished. Is
walkout.
it finished?
Part of the basement's going to be finished. They had, where's my basement plan? Some of that storage was a wine room. And it's a walkout, but only for the garage.
So it doesn't have egress. so it wouldn't count as. And the fifth bedroom is gonna be the office on the second floor?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a big lot. Very big lot.
Yeah, we find them once in a while. And this is one of the few that, yours is the only board that I have to go before. There's no zoning, no conservation. Just a big septic system.
Okay, so, 4 bedrooms by right, they're asking for a fifth with IA technology, the only variance is for the fifth bedroom. So any other comments or questions from, the board? And, can I get a motion on that then? In a second?
Second.
Okay, any public comment on 124 Rowland Drive? Or Roland, I don't know.
Over.
Okay, I think we can take a voice vote on this. All in favor?
I
say-
need to read these
Oh,
stipulations.
yeah, read the conditions, please.
Yep, so those standard conditions for an IA system, the applicant should restrict the property to a maximum of 5 bedrooms and record this restriction on the deed at the Barnstable County Register of Deeds. The applicant shall submit a copy of that deed restriction to the board. The applicant shall sign a covenant with the board agreeing to comply at such time as the town of Chatham, through its Board of Health and/or Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners, directs the connection of this property to the municipal sewer when it becomes available, and the covenant shall be recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. Throughout its life, the system shall be under an O&M agreement. The agreement shall be for at least 1 year and may be with any Mass-certified operator that has received training by the company on the operation of the system. Effluent from the system shall be monitored at least twice per year for the first 2 years, preferably May and October. The effluent shall be field tested in accordance with Mass DEP standard conditions for secondary treatment units certified for general use, revised March 20th, 2015. In addition, a lab test of the effluent for total nitrogen to meet the performance standard of 19 milligrams per liter shall be collected and analyzed by a certified lab. Water meter readings are to be provided with the semi-annual report. If any of the field tests or lab tests fail, follow-up tests shall be conducted by a certified lab, and an evaluation made by the operator within 30 days. After the required 2 years testing, application can be made to the board or their agent for review and possible modifications of the monitoring requirements. The applicant agrees to apply a minimum of 6 inches of compacted topsoil to all disturbed areas of the property. The engineer shall submit an engineered as-built plan including as-built elevations with a written certification that the system has been installed in accordance with the approved plan. No alteration to the floor plan of the dwelling or the engineered site plan is allowed without further review by the Board of Health or its agent, and the variance is granted pursuant to the State Environmental Code Title V and the Town of Chatham Subsurface Sewage Regulations, and is valid for 1 year from the date of the Board of Health approval. A permit must be issued and work commenced during that 1-year period, or the variance shall expire.
Okay, thank you. Dick?
Can I make one comment? I guess we are going to send instructions to architects and engineers that they need to provide a more detailed plan. For example, in this plan, we have no way of knowing if there are windows in that basement or there aren't windows. We need a draft, a plan that shows doors, windows, dimensions, and if they don't provide that, we shouldn't consider the variance. So you can review it.
Yeah, and that's
That
part
stuff
of the
isn't there,
changes.
We will not put it on the
And that
agenda.
was included in the changes to the nitrogen loading regulations. And then I was looking back through some old Board of Health documents, it actually was required back in 2005, and somehow we slipped away from that. So,
So do you have a list of engineering firms that we deal with, or a public way to get it to them? They would-
yeah, I can, and as these come in as well, I can say, no, I need something more detailed. So, and I know Thad's aware of it, moving forward.
I mean, do you have like an intake checklist, for instance, where you go through a checklist and make sure that everything that we might need?
We do, we have a variance application which lists what is needed on it, so,
Is that on the,
I don't know if it is. I'll have to look at it, maybe revise it a bit for moving forward.
And you know the things we're looking for, you know?
Yeah.
Like casement, you know,
No, I totally do, yep. So,
be more overt if you need be.
yeah, because it's hard, like you said, it's hard to tell what these rooms are without something more detailed.
That's a good comment. These came in under the pre-August 1st rules, but, so Judy will address that going forward.
And in all fairness, this one is going for a building permit, and that will be reviewed by Judy at the time, so
Right.
the architectural plans will be fully reviewed.
Right, that's true. Everything in the architectural plans
But in
obviously
the
show
future,
everything.
we'll need those plans before we can
Exactly, yep.
consider a variance.
Okay, I think we have a motion and a second, then we can take a voice, I think no public comment on 124 Rowland. And I think we can take a voice vote on this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, that passes, 124 Rowland for the variance. Okay, and the next on our agenda is variance hearing and approval, IA Technology for Riders Cove Dreams LLC, 676 Orleans Road, also Southeast LLC. Thad Eldridge is here.
Alrighty, Thad Eldridge, East Southeast, it's the Thad show this afternoon. So, Chris Dietrich of Riders Cove Dreams LLC is reconstructing the home. We've received zoning approval, conservation approval, and now we're seeking your approval for a +1 bedroom under the old rule. We have 39,600 square feet of buildable upland area and an existing 5-bedroom going to a 6-bedroom with denitrification. That brings your nitrogen loading on the property from 7 parts per million down to 4.5. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions from the board? So this is a pre-existing, basically 5-bedroom. They're adding 1 bedroom with IA Technology
No, they,
under our pre-August 1st rules. And any questions?
I have a question. They're demoing the house, an existing 4-bedroom,
Yes,
correct?
and a one-bedroom cottage,
And a 1-bedroom cottage.
bunkhouse.
Bunkhouse,
That was 5 bedrooms.
Yes.
Now you're gonna have 6 bedrooms
yes.
on an acre,
Yes.
and that be 4 + 1.
This came in
IA
before our,
technology.
this came in before our regulation changed, so it doesn't fall under that, because it was submitted before the effective date of the rule change. So under our old way of doing it, this was well, there were two. The one,
We only got a couple of those. It wasn't,
this one and the one we continued to next week.
I have a question. Is the bunkhouse the carriage house?
yes,
Okay, so you're
Tearing down a
turning
bunkhouse and
into
putting
a
up a
carriage house
carriage house.
with 1 bedroom
yes.
and taking another bedroom over into the main house.
Yeah, so the 4-bedroom main
Becomes a
house will
5-bedroom.
become a 5-bedroom.
Right. So it's going from,
This new home is gonna have 2 garages, you know, the carriage house has a garage, the main house has a garage.
Oh, really?
And the 5th bedroom is really that home theater,
Yes,
so basically, if they made that opening wider, they wouldn't even have a 5th bedroom. I don't know if it's.
And if we had waited a
they're gonna
week-
have, if they're gonna have theater seating in there, they're probably not gonna be, I guess people could fall asleep in the chair.
Maybe you can watch Oppenheim there. They might have IMAX.
Yeah,
so
if
they
you're
can put
watching
you
a
back.
4-hour movie, maybe it does constitute.
depends on the movie.
Thad and I did discuss that that theater, didn't I ask you about that? Whether it
There
had?
were windows on the north side of that.
Yes, there are windows. Oftentimes, when you see a home theater, it's just a big, dark room in the basement.
So the home theater is considered a bedroom?
So it does have, and I provided you with
And then there's,
Better
more
floor plans?
detailed plans. Although, yeah, see, you can, it has windows.
five, and then one over the, yeah, that's the sixth. And then there's two rooms over the garage, but the living room would be basically, it would be a pass-through to the bedroom, so that wouldn't be two rooms open to the.
Yes.
Just, I did have a call today from, I didn't get her, I don't have her name, and she may be on the line, but a butter across the street at number 683, she said she was not notified. I don't see her on the list. Just so you know, I mean, we require notifications, but it's more of a courtesy. It's not required by Title V.
And our notifications come from the abutters list from the.
Right, so
from
it's
the
everybody
assessor.
within 50, what is it, 50 yards or something?
It's something or another.
So I don't know how she got missed, but I think she's already, has this been to ZBA?
It's been to zoning board of appeals, conservation has heard everything and will be reviewing
Right.
the order of conditions on Wednesday.
I guess she's had some concerns, I think mostly about the use, the historical use of the house. It has been advertised as a rental, sleeping many more than it should. And I did assure her that as a approved 6-bedroom property, it will be limited to 14 people if it is continued to be a rental in accordance with our short-term rental regulations. So, beyond that, it really meets our requirements.
So did you say abutter notifications do come out for variance of this type?
Any variance that the Board of Health does, we do require.
You require, and that's sent out by the applicant?
It is, and we provided the green cards. Every board has a different requirement for the distance from the property to the abutter. And 683 is across the street, but they're really across the street from 684, and they're pretty far from the panhandle. So they're likely outside of the buffer that's required for this notification. Zoning Board of Appeals has a larger notification area, so they
Yeah,
may
because
have
she
been
did
notified.
mention that she was notified for the
Yes.
ZBA. So, it's the first time I think this has ever happened, that someone has called and said they weren't notified. I usually tell people, you know, all the abutting properties and across the street, so maybe if we have something similar to this, we can pick up a few extra people if we see that there's someone who might be concerned. But she did call, and I think she might be on the line. If she wanted to speak up, she could, and I told her that. So,
Okay, other comments or questions from the board concerning this variance?
And if I may, she was also my third grade teacher.
Anybody like to make a motion on this variance? 676 Orleans Road,
I'll move to approve.
in a second?
Second.
Okay, and then any public input? Anybody from the public that wants to make a comment on 676 Orleans Road? Now would be the time. Okay, I hear nothing, so we can go ahead and take a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, that variance is granted.
did you want me to read?
Oh, yeah,
the,
read the, I'm sorry, read the,
Did we have a second on that?
yes.
Who seconded it?
John, I did.
Sorry, I'm trying to take notes for Diane. Yeah, so it's basically the same conditions. The applicant will restrict the property to 6 bedrooms and record this on the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds and submit a copy to the Board of Health. The applicant shall sign a covenant agreeing to comply at such time as the Town of Chatham, through its Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners, directs the connection of this property to the municipal sewer when it becomes available, and this covenant will be recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. Throughout its life, the system will be under an operation and maintenance agreement for at least 1 year. All agreements shall be for at least 1 year and may be with any mass certified operator of the appropriate grade. Effluent from the system shall be monitored at least twice per year for the first 2 years, preferably May and October. The effluent shall be field tested in accordance with Mass DEP standard conditions for secondary treatment units, as approved by revised March 20th, 2015. In addition, the laboratory test of effluent for total nitrogen to meet the performance standard of 19 milligrams per liter shall be collected and analyzed by a certified lab. Water meter readings are to be provided with the semi-annual report, and if any field tests or lab tests fail, follow-up tests shall be conducted by a lab and an evaluation made by the operator. After required 2 years, testing application will be made to the board or its agent for review and possible modification of the monitoring requirements. The applicant shall apply a minimum of 6 inches of compacted topsoil to all disturbed areas. The engineer shall submit an engineered as-built plan, including as-built elevations with a written certification that the system has been installed in accordance with the approved plan. No alteration to the floor plan of the dwelling or the engineered site plan will be allowed without further review by the board or its agent, and this variance is granted pursuant to the State Environmental Code Title V in the Town of Chatham subsurface sewage regulations, and is valid from 1 year from the date of the Board of Health approval. A permit must be issued and work commenced during that 1-year period.
Okay, I think we can go ahead and take a voice vote. All in favor, say, of 676 Orleans Road variance, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. Hearing none, that variance is granted for 676 Orleans Road.
Before you get to your other one, can I ask a question? Is
Yes,
Channel 18 going to stay Channel 18 when they become Channel 8?
No, they're going to be the Chatham TV,
Okay.
I believe it's
Oh,
Oh, sorry, yes, they're going to be Chatham TV, not Channel 18,
very good. Thank you.
so.
okay, so item 6 on our agenda is a discussion update of the state DEP Title V revisions, which are applying mainly to Cape Cod. Judy has provided us with a summary that she culled from various sources for our review, and I have asked her to kind of give us a brief update on what these regulations mean for the town of Chatham, and maybe explain the Pleasant Bay watershed area and how that interacts with what the town will need to do. So, Judy.
Okay, so just as background, DEP made changes to Title V. Their Zone 2s, their nitrogen-sensitive areas, and they basically designated all of Cape Cod and some coastal areas of the south coast of Massachusetts for, as nitrogen-sensitive areas. And those went into effect July 7th, 2023, so just recently. They basically are looking at the nutrient issues in our impaired watersheds on Cape Cod. As you know, the nutrient loading, basically from septic systems, but also from fertilizer, golf courses, is what's causing algal blooms and issues in our estuaries. And so these nitrogen-sensitive areas and the new rules to put in IA systems within 5 years is part of their requirement to deal with these and clean up these estuaries. However, one of the things that you can do is file for a watershed permit. And in Chatham, we are very lucky because already about 3,000 parcels in Chatham are part of the watershed permit, which was issued several years ago, the Pleasant Bay watershed by the Pleasant Bay Alliance. So those areas are going to be exempt from this requirement because there's already a plan, which is based basically on our comprehensive wastewater management plan, which covers the whole town, but that particular watershed already has their watershed permit. So the rest of the town, what we're doing moving forward is we have, and according to this new regulation, we have 2 years to file a notice of intent that we are going to file for a watershed for the rest of Chatham. And we've already started that process with our engineers that are designing our sewer system. So they will be filing a notice of intent and then working towards preparing a watershed permit for the rest of Chatham. So that basically is going to exempt us and exempt our people, our residents, from having to put in IA systems starting 5 years from now. So that's really all I can tell you right now. We are not requiring anybody to put in IAs unless they are doing so under a request for an extra bedroom as they come to the Board of Health. But it's the requirement that everybody's been hearing, that everybody on Cape Cod has to put an IA in 5 years, is not going to be in effect in Chatham. I'm very confident that because we have a comprehensive wastewater management plan that lays out sewering over 20 to 30 years for Chatham, that is our nutrient plan, and, you know, it will be, and we've been told by DEP that it should be accepted when it's presented to them in the next 2 years.
So the entity actually preparing the request for and the intent is the engineering firm that with the time?
Yes, we've been working with GHD.
GHD.
Yeah, and I will be meeting with them and the sewer, the DPW director and the assistant DPW is going to be doing the sewer stuff in the next week or two. And we're gonna have a long meeting to go over a lot of the different stuff that's
Can you give us just an
happening.
approximation of what parts of Chatham are included already in the Pleasant Bay watershed?
I mean, I gave you a map.
It's kind of north of Old Queen Anne Road and Stepping Stone?
Yeah, I don't have a list of parcels.
There-
I did try and look for one today, and I may have to dig further or discuss it with the Pleasant Bay people. They may have something. But it's basically North Chatham. You can see from this map, it's those yellow lines, kind of the areas abutting Pleasant Bay and coming down towards Chatham Harbor.
I think I saw somewhere in this, there was a website where an individual can go and find out if their house is
Yes.
subject to needing
An IA, but it doesn't,
or
I don't believe.
subject to, this new regulation, they might be at risk.
Right, but I don't believe that's going to break out people that are in Pleasant Bay. It might say, yes, you fall under this.
Oh, yeah. Is it the following link and map to determine, the following link, if your property is in a potential natural resource area?
Right,
So would that apply to different properties within Chatham?
yes, but that's going to say, yes, you're in that area, but we're going to, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have to put an IA in, because we're going to be having covered them by the comprehensive wastewater,
Right.
by the watershed permit that we
But
anticipate having.
Those who are in the Pleasant Bay watershed agreement we already have aren't affected by these new regs, is that correct?
No, no.
It is.
But they will, I
It
think they
is- it is
still.
or is not
I mean,
correct?
they will be, they are affected, but because they already have a watershed permit for that area, they're
They've already done it.
taken care of,
Okay,
so.
yeah. Questions? Dick?
I find this very confusing. What do all these yellow lines mean?
Those are like the sub-embayments, so the watersheds, it shows you basically the different watersheds. It's hard to explain, but those watersheds are the flow of the water within those particular areas. They all are part of the Pleasant Bay, but there's like sub-watersheds in there, I believe.
So this looks like everything north of Route 28 is in that Pleasant Bay watershed.
Yeah, pretty much.
So all of those are already exempt from this requirement
For an IA,
for the IA systems.
right.
Potential IA system, yeah.
So if you read I provided, well, did I provide you with the permit? I can provide you with the Pleasant Bay watershed permit, which I guess I did not. And that explains what the people in that area are going to be required to do, which is really nothing. For Chatham, the Pleasant Bay watershed covers Chatham, Orleans, Brewster, and Harwich. For Chatham, it's sewering, and then some of the changes we made to Muddy Creek that have already been done. Those are the items that Chatham is responsible for doing to do this nutrient reduction.
So this doesn't mean that these areas that are in the Pleasant Bay watershed will be sewered in preference to other areas in town?
No,
They'll get sewers quicker?
not necessarily.
It doesn't really mean that.
No.
It's just-
It's based, I think it's already based on the phases that were laid out as part of the comprehensive plan, so.
Do you know offhand the approximate percentage of the town which is sewered now? Without hookup, or,
I don't know.
it's a 30-year plan, and we're sort of.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. That's something that Rob and I Rob, it's the new DPW director, are talking about, figuring out how many actual houses have hooked up and how many are outstanding, and, you know, we've had those discussions
Then
before.
Bob Duncanson is gone now, so he's managed it up till now, but he's out of it pretty much.
Right,
Okay.
so.
All right, other questions from the board or comments, or, all right, questions from the public for the board or for Judy on these new Title V requirements from the state, which just applies to Cape Cod? They said that the towns off the Cape didn't have enough notification to make their plans. But anyway, it's just Cape Cod now.
So I'm going to make sure all of this information that I presented you will be on the town. There's already the question and answers, the frequently asked questions are posted, but I will also post a summary, so if anybody in the public wants to read it. And then people can always call my office or email me, and I'd be happy to talk about it with them.
Okay, great, thank you. Oh, Thad?
Thad Aldridge. The map that you'll find online doesn't include the watershed, so it will check off the North Chatham properties as being within the watershed or being within the NSA, even though they're exempt.
It does include the watershed.
It doesn't show the watershed. It includes all the properties that are just in the NSA.
Right, but it doesn't say it's in a Pleasant Bay watershed, does it?
Correct.
Right, so it will show up.
At some point, they'll probably update that, and especially as watersheds get added. Because
Right.
there are a number of towns that are looking to prepare watershed plans.
That is our map person, so he,
Oh, I already have it on my list. I'll play around with this and see
yeah,
what we can give.
so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? And again, any public questions? Okay, that's great. Thank you, Judy. All right, and then we can move on to old business. I would say the 32 Mill Hill property we had talked about being on the agenda. We didn't, there's more information to get, so we'll put it on the next meeting agenda.
Definitely
And then
will,
we'll get
yes.
as much information from the state as we can, find out what they're have done or what they're going to do possibly, and kind of try to move that ahead. since we-
I'm gonna,
Please.
I mean, I'm not necessarily convinced we have to go into executive session for this. I mean,
Can-
especially if the state says they're not gonna do anything about it, then I think we can discuss what our next
You're
steps
talking
are.
about this- referring to the state.
The state, right.
Do you know they're not doing anything about it?
Well, I don't know that, but I'm not
So
feeling.
you can figure out
I'm not feeling it.
if they have something new that's dramatic information, then we can go into executive session. If it's just
Right.
nothing, we can, okay.
Then I think we can just talk about what our next steps are, and
We're
we'll have
probably
to.
not high on their list for this, and so.
Right.
Yeah.
move forward.
Other old business? Other old business or issues to bring up? Okay, and then comments from the public, and I think we have someone in the audience who wanted to make a statement, or? Where would you like me to be? Yeah, right up there, or close to a microphone.
Good afternoon, board members. Thanks for the opportunity to visit with you this afternoon. My name is Charles O'Connell, and I'm a summer resident. And my wife Marilyn and I, purchased a two-bedroom home located at 53 Shane Drive 13 years ago. It has a lot size of approximately 10,800 square feet. We have never rented out our home and have no plans to do so. We have always dreamed of adding a third bedroom to our home, knowing that if we met the town's requirements, that would be possible. As you might expect, we were very dismayed when we recently learned that you have enacted new regulations that have taken that dream from us. Now, I recognize the town and this board need to address nitrogen and drinking water adequacy issues, and I applaud you for doing so. However, I believe your new regulation unfairly burdens owners of two-bedroom homes. Homes with 3 bedrooms or larger can accommodate the size of most families. Capping them at their current bedroom level should not be a significant constraint, nor should it reduce their current and future market values. Conversely, limiting a home to only 2 bedrooms with no potential to add a third will reduce demand for them and therefore reduce their current market value and future appreciation potential. This will result in a future financial loss to 2-bedroom homeowners that will unfairly penalize them. The other undesirable impact of restricting bedroom expansion of 2-bedroom properties is that it effectively shuts the door to any young family who desires to own a 3-bedroom home in Chatham one day by buying a 2-bedroom home now that they can afford and expanding it to 3 bedrooms when they are financially able to do so to accommodate an expanding family. Under the new regulations, it will now be necessary for them to pay upwards of $700,000 to purchase a 3-bedroom home, a price that police officers and firefighters, teachers, and other middle-income earning families just cannot afford. Therefore, I respectfully request this board consider revisiting your new bedroom policy and amending it to apply restrictions only to homes with 3 bedrooms or more and exempt 2-bedroom homes, thereby eliminating the disproportionate negative financial impact to 2-bedroom homeowners. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I make a couple of comments? The reason, the regulation that we approved is based upon the town's current restriction for new construction of 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet. One could argue that that is overly restrictive to people that want to have bigger houses on small lots, but that is the regulation in the town right now, and that's what our regulation is based upon. So you know that would be a problem. And if somebody came here and they said, well, they want to have a 3-bedroom house on it, and they found a 10,000 square foot lot and they wanted to build a 3-bedroom house, they couldn't do it because that's the regulation in the town. The other issue is that we see right now that a significant proportion of housing expansions is not to house firefighters or policemen or teachers. It's to convert houses into short-term rentals and take a house that has had 1 or 2 bedrooms, it has had 2 bedrooms that has accommodated 3 or 4 people, often for only 3 or 4 months of the year, and convert it into a 3-bedroom house that you can rent to 8 people from Memorial Day until Columbus Day. So, yeah, it is possibly a problem for some people that might want to add a 3rd bedroom to, or sell it to somebody for a long-term residence for a person of more modest means. But, you know, I think that we had good reasons for making the decision that we made, and I would argue that we shouldn't change it.
Other comments? I have one. Other comments? I have one area of confusion. I think somewhere it's written that any buildable lot in Chatham can be a two-bedroom home, regardless of its
Yeah,
size.
in the regulations, it says any vacant lot in town, as long as it's not in a water resource area. And I'll have to check on that as far as whether that,
So could there be a vacant lot that's 10,000 square feet that's buildable?
occasionally,
possible?
occasionally they show up.
Occasionally they show up.
That can't be too many.
So I mean, yeah, so there's a question whether there, you know,
Yeah.
Any lot is
I haven't
two-bedroom
seen-
by
I haven't
right,
seen one
and-
in a while.
you-
I know there's a few very small lots up off of Morton Road that they can't even get two bedrooms on because they're in a nitrogen-sensitive area. I would need to, with this new Title V changes, I question, and I think Thad kind of had that question, was whether, if the whole town is now considered a nitrogen-sensitive area by the state, then I'm not sure we could even allow the two bedrooms on a vacant lot
So it may be.
without an IA.
It may be in flux.
Right.
And then the other, but there are some questions people had brought up that there should be considered a discussion of ADUs and how they are affected by the septic regulations. I mean, I think the biggest reason ADUs haven't been built is that there's a rule they must conform to the septic regulations. So if it's a three-bedroom house, they're allowed on the lot. They can't do an ADU unless they did IA, which is not cost-effective for them probably. So there's an interest in ADUs. Judy, I think, had talked about this. It's a discussion we might have.
So we had an in-house discussion with staff in community development, housing, planning, et cetera, and they were just concerned that how this would affect the ADUs, and they did say, well, they're not swarming in with proposals for ADUs, and I think, you know, one of the reasons is that they would have to put an IA in most cases. However, that could be something that the board could discuss, maybe exempting or allowing an ADU with an IA, because the conditions for getting an ADU in Chatham is it has to be a year-round house, year-round occupancy, and it has both the unit itself and the house. So that would kind of negate it.
Yearly contract on the.
Right, it's not going to be rented out as a short-term rental. That's the only way they would be allowed to build the ADU, which is an apartment, a full apartment, would be if it's available for year-round rental. And, you know, with the need that we all see for affordable housing in Chatham, it might be something that the board could consider moving forward if the subject comes up.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a discussion down the road that you'd have to worry about precedent and what other things we'd have to consider. But, so I think that we thank you for your comments. This is, you know, this new regulations, so we're thinking about them and getting input. They are what they are at the moment. Other questions or comments?
May I ask a clarifying
Sure.
question to Board Member
Go ahead.
Edwards, I believe? The regulation that you were referring to, with which this new regulation needs to be consistent with, what is that, a Board of Health regulations, or is that those zoning regulations?
That's the
The
nitrogen,
regulation that allows one bedroom per 10,000 square feet.
that's the nitrogen load, that's this regulation.
That's the nitrogen loading regulation.
That's the
So-
one you're referring to?
So we've always required one bedroom per 10,000 square feet of lot area. And our regulation states that we could allow an extra bedroom over that one bedroom per 10,000 if you put in an IA. And that was kind of an interpretation that we made, that everybody would be allowed that, whether you were already over the one bedroom per 10,000. So if you had 3 bedrooms on a 20,000 square foot lot, we would still allow the 4th bedroom if you put IA in. The change that we made to the nitrogen loading reg just tightens that up, that if you're already over the allowable number of bedrooms, then you would not be allowed the extra bedroom.
But what exactly would prevent you from exempting 2 bedrooms from the new regulation?
Well-
2-bedroom homes.
How would we exempt that? Or, I don't understand the
I guess
question.
I'm not sure whether you actually are saying that it's not possible to amend it to exempt 2-bedroom homes, or is it just that you prefer not to?
Oh, that's up to the board. We haven't discussed that. That was not part. Right now, our regulations say 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet of lot area. So if you have a 16,000 square foot lot or less, and you have 2 bedrooms on it, you're already over the allowable
Yeah.
number of bedrooms. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't allow that 3rd bedroom.
No, I realize that, and that's why I'm asking for,
So if the board wanted to ease up on that, that would have to be a discussion that we would have, and then they would have to go through the whole process again of changing their regulations and adding something to that effect.
We could do that, but then that raises this whole additional issue of the very rapid expansion of the number of bedrooms in the town and the high proportion of these bedroom expansions that become short-term rentals and all the problems related to that. So, I guess conceivably, you could say you could write a regulation that would allow another bedroom as long as there was a provision in the deed that restricted that house could never be rented, in perpetuity, but I don't think that's anything that.
But in answer to your question, I think we would have the power to change the regulation again in the manner you have asked
Yeah.
if we wanted to.
if you choose to do
But
so.
we've
Yeah.
kind of looked at the whole
Yeah,
Right,
global aspect of the thing. But we're getting input,
Yeah.
and the ADUs is an issue, so we appreciate that.
yeah. I think it's ironic, though, in the ADU, you allow 2 occupants per bedroom plus 2.
No, that's
That's the short-term rental.
I'm
the-
sorry, not the ADU, I'm sorry, the SDRs, which seems to be a very liberal policy compared to the very restrictive policy that you put in place here. But I won't belabor the point.
We're not saying that if it's having a 2-bedroom house, I mean, you could have a weekend where all your grandchildren come and you have 10 people in your house. We're not saying you can't do that. I mean, you're still restricted to 2 bedrooms legally,
bedrooms,
but
Yeah,
But-
I understand.
I mean, going back, we've had complaints of 5, don't quote me on this, 5-bedroom house that occupying on the internet with occupancies of 20 or 22.
Yes, yeah.
Which was really
Yeah, unacceptable.
overboard, so.
Yeah.
Okay, but I thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
comment.
Thank you.
And we'll be having
For
an
listening.
ongoing discussion of this. I think we'll probably be getting some more input. Thank you. Other comments from the public? Anybody online?
Nicole Stern, would you want to make a comment?
Yes, I would. I'd like to comment and support the former speaker. I've had a real estate broker's license for 40 years, 25 as a broker, and the remainder as a consultant. And I can go back 25 years ago where buying 2-bedroom homes was discouraged because of the fact that most people wanted at least 3 bedrooms, and it was discouraged. But over the years, especially in this kind of area, vacation areas, it became acceptable. But the comment he made about losing the value of his home is absolutely correct. if there's no possibility, in his case, has never rented it, and with the hopes of adding an additional bedroom, I assume when they come here full time. So I would think that there could be some kind of exception for two-bedroom homes, whether one of the members mentioned it, whether it's with restrictions that that home could not be rented if they were, if it was acceptable to become a three-bedroom home. I think there's lots of things that could be done because it really isn't right for those people. And I know we get very mixed up with affordable housing, attainable housing, nitrogen, trying to keep our waters, free and clear and clean. But I think we need to look at everything that he said, being a homeowner who has never rented. So that obviously would not affect that part of it. And then he could have his family and his grandchildren or great-grandchildren. So I think it is something that the board should really think about and consider. And thank you for allowing me to have my input.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Victor, do you want to?
That being said, if we were to go that route, then it is very possible that in the next meeting, people would say it's unfair to people with three-bedroom houses
That's my point.
who really, really
If you have a
need that,
three-bedroom
really would love
house,
to have a
some
fourth
happening.
bedroom. And if you're on a 20,000 square foot lot and you have three bedrooms, well, gee, that house would be worth more if it had a fourth bedroom.
I agree.
There's no
I
end,
agree.
there's no end
Whoops.
to that.
There's-
And
I agree with what
again,
you're
many, almost every week, we have variance requests for new bedrooms. And now 30% of the homes in Chatham are short-term rentals. It's going up all the time. And on my street, several houses have recently been sold. 2 rental companies who immediately add a new bedroom and then advertise.
I would contend that that's the reason why police and fire and school teachers. I would contend that that's the reason why police and fire and school teachers can't afford to live in Chatham, and it has nothing to do with the two-bedroom home issue. I mean, even two-bedroom homes in Chatham are many times out of the reach of your average town employee or teacher or school nurse or whoever.
Okay,
May
other
I speak
comments
again?
there? Nicole,
May I?
yeah?
Yes. The one difference is that a three-bedroom home has always been acceptable and always saleable, but two bedrooms haven't. So basically, we would be going back to that, backwards 30 years. And again, I understand there's a lot of situations here, but I still think that there is a way to make an exception for two bedrooms under certain circumstances with restrictions, because that would affect their, if they decided this wasn't something feasible and they wanted to sell their two-bedroom home, I think they'd have a really hard time doing that. So all I'm saying is, I understand your position, but I think you should at least think about it and give consideration. People have invested in Chatham ultimately because they want to be here. And I'm sure when they bought a two-bedroom home, it was because that's all they could afford. So I think there's a way to deal with this. And I heard what you said about, well, then three-bedroom homes would feel, well, why can't they have four-bedroom homes? But it all comes back to 3-bedroom homes have always been available and saleable. 2-bedroom homes have not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think there will be an ongoing discussion. Other board comments on that? Other public comments on the additional bedrooms with IA technology issue? Okay, thank you very much. Other old business that board has? Okay, maybe we can go ahead and approve the minutes of July 17th.
I know nothing about this.
Any additions or corrections?
I actually have them.
Yeah?
On the first page, under pursuant to Governor Baker's, I'm sorry, under page 1, under pursuant to Governor Baker's July 16th, that's the wrong intro. That's the old intro, so I would have to submit the new intro, which I read today, which has our new governor and Governor Healy and updated dates, and so I would just ask
Whoever
Diane
he
to substitute that paragraph with the one I read today, which I did read on July 17th. So,
Okay, so that's one. Any other changes or corrections? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of July 17th? Motion from Dr. Edwards. Second?
Second.
Carol? We can probably take a voice vote on that. All in favor of approving the minutes of July 17th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Okay, those minutes are approved. And then we can go ahead and close the meeting.
yep.
Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
Move to close the meeting.
A second? Second. And we can take a voice vote to close the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, the meeting is adjourned. We can turn our mics off and